hinge bushing is the only wear item on the Stiletto rear lower control arms for the KL Cherokee. Keeping it well lubricated is the key to maintaining its performance. But even a well cared for bushing will eventually wear out and need replacement. The estimated lifespan of this bushing depends on how you use your Jeep. With primarily on-road driving and occasional light off-roading, you can expect 20 to 25,000 miles out of these bushings. If you frequently off-road your Jeep on rugged trails or drive on extremely rough roads, you may only get 15 to 20,000 miles out of them. In all cases, this lifespan will vary depending on numerous factors, especially how hard you drive your Jeep off-road. Previously, the recommended procedure for bushing replacement involved complete control arm removal, which is tedious and time-consuming. This video presents a new technique that allows bushing replacement in under an hour. The basic procedure involves stabilizing and supporting your control arms, removing the alignment cam bolt, lowering the arm, replacing the worn-out bushing, raising the control arm back into place, and reinstalling the alignment cam bolts. This procedure can be performed in a driveway or garage utilizing the following tools: auto ramps to increase your workspace, a ratchet strap to stabilize the control arms, a floor jack and control arm riser, which we'll discuss at length later in this video, a 17mm and crescent wrench, along with a pair of vice grips for removing the alignment cam bolts, a 12mm or 1/2-inch socket and flat screwdriver to help remove the old bushings, and a grease gun with high-quality synthetic grease for lubricating the new bushings. We begin by backing the Jeep up onto auto ramps. You can technically perform this procedure without using ramps, but you'll appreciate the extra working room that ramps provide. Note, you should avoid raising the wheels off the ground and using jack stands. This procedure will be more difficult, not to mention dangerous, if the suspension is left to hang. Mark the alignment cam bolts with a paint pen or marker. This will allow you to return them to their previous position and retain your rear wheel alignment. Using a 17mm wrench, completely loosen and remove the jam nuts on the alignment cam bolts. You may need to use a crescent wrench to keep the cam bolts from spinning. The next step is to stabilize your control arms by stretching a ratchet strap between the sway bar end link brackets on the stilettos. Tighten the strap firmly, but not excessively. The function of the strap is to prevent the control arm from moving horizontally outward once the alignment cam bolts are removed. Next, we attach the control arm riser to the control arm we are working on. This is a homemade tool that allows us to safely lift and lower the control arm. We'll discuss this riser in more detail at the end of this video. With the riser and floor jack in place, we pump the jack slowly to lift the control arm ever so slightly. This takes pressure off of the cam bolt, allowing it to be pulled out with vice grips fairly easily. We then slowly lower the floor jack and let the control arm fall out of the subframe bracket. Once the control arm drops, we have full access to the bushing. The center sleeve should come out easily, but if not, use a 12mm or 1/2-inch socket to push it out. Remove the bushing halves by pulling on them. Use a flat screwdriver to pry it out if it's being stubborn. Now clean the link end thoroughly, removing all traces of dirt and grease. Use a grease gun to squirt 2 or 3 dabs of grease into the link end and use your finger to coat all surfaces. For a clearer view of the dressing process, let's switch to a different video that shows how these bushings are assembled on the production line. After coating the inside of the link end, a generous amount of grease is applied to the bushing half, concentrating on the flange area. Insert the bushing into the link end, then repeat the process for the other half of the bushing. Coat the center sleeve with grease and push it fully into the bushing. Clean up any excess grease when you are done. Back to our vehicle, you can see the new bushing has been installed and generously lubricated. Position the link end below the subframe bracket and slowly raise the jack, lifting the control arm and link end into place. Once the holes are aligned, insert the alignment cam bolt. If the bolt doesn't go through fully, it is not aligned with the rear hole on the mounting bracket. Slowly raise or lower the jack so the bolt can pass through the hole. Here we lowered the jack slightly because the bolt was too high. Rotate the cam bolt so it can be seated flush between the raised cam guides on the mounting bracket. Install the rear cam nut, making sure it sits flush too. Tighten the jam nut just enough to prevent the cam bolt from coming out of the cam guides. Now you can remove the floor jack and control arm riser and repeat this process for the other side. Since we already did the other side, we're removing the stabilizing ratchet strap. Using the marks you made, return the cam bolts to their original position and tighten the jam nuts firmly. Wipe away any excess grease, especially any that may have fallen onto your exhaust. Make one last check of the alignment marks to make sure the cam bolts are in their original orientation. If all looks good, you are finished with the job. You no doubt notice the custom riser that we use to raise and lower the control arms. This is a tool that we made ourselves out of some scrap lumber. There are a variety of design approaches that you can take. Key objectives when designing such a device are: it must fit in our work area, which is 10 to 12 inches in our case. It must secure itself to the control arm so that it cannot fall out of position. It must also latch on tightly so it will not slide up the control arm. Lastly, it must fit securely on the floor jack so it won't fall out of position. To build our custom riser, we began by measuring the cup on our floor jack. We cut a circular disc out of 3/4 inch plywood that matched this measurement. After checking that it fit the cup nicely, we proceeded to mark a point 12 inches from the end of a 2x4. We used a 1 3/8 inch hole saw to drill a hole at this point, and then bisected the hole on the table saw. We then marked the center of the 2x4 on the circular disc and proceeded to drill 2/4 inch holes through the disc. We used a 1-inch spade bit to countersink the two holes on one side. We applied some wood glue to produce a strong joint, then drilled one of the 1/4 inch holes into the 2x4. We use a 3/8 inch lag screw to hold the position of the disc while drilling the other hole. Then we fully tightened both lag screws. Note how the countersunk holes allow it to sit flat. Next, we took some steel hanging strap, commonly used for AC ductwork, and screwed it to one side of the riser. The idea is to use the strap to go over the control arm and screw it tightly to the other side of the riser. This prevents the riser from falling out of place and provides just enough grip that it won't slide up the control arm when we are raising it. When finished with the job, keep this custom riser around for the next time you'll need to change your Stiletto's bushing. We hope you found this video informative and useful. If you have any questions about the bushing replacement process, please reach out to us by sending an email to info@gleamingalloy.com. Or you can join the Gleaming Alloy Owners Group on Facebook and ask questions there. Thanks again for watching. We hope to see you out on the trails soon.